The bridge between two kingdoms in ancient times. There were two great kingdoms, separated by a deep and stormy river. On one side lived the kingdom of light, where the people were peaceful and just, guided by a kind king. On the other side was the kingdom of shadow, where darkness prevailed, and its people lived in fear and discord, under the rule of a cruel king. Despite the proximity of the kingdoms, they lived isolated, without contact, because the river that divided them was impassable. Many tried to cross the river, but all failed. The distrust and hatred between the two kingdoms only grew. One day, the heir to the kingdom of light, a wise and compassionate young prince, decided to change this reality. He saw the suffering on both sides and knew that true peace would only come if the two peoples were united. Against the advice of many in his kingdom, the prince decided to build a bridge across the river. The task would not be easy. When he began construction, he faced resistance from both kingdoms. On the shadow side, they mocked him, believing the bridge to be a trap. On the light side, some viewed the idea with contempt, thinking that the Shadow Kingdom did not deserve reconciliation. But the prince remained steadfast. He worked day and night, cutting stones and erecting beams, and slowly the bridge began to take shape. One day, when the bridge was almost finished, the Shadow King, furious, decided to stop the work. With his soldiers, he advanced to the river to destroy the construction. The prince, fearless, stood before the king and said, "There is no victory in destruction, but there is glory in reconciliation. What separates our kingdoms is not the river, but our hearts." The Shadow King, touched by the prince's words, hesitated. He knew that his kingdom was in pain, and the truth of the young heir's words disarmed him. With tears in his eyes, he lowered his sword. The bridge was completed, and the two kingdoms, once enemies, began to cross it. Little by little, the walls of hatred fell, and a new era of peace and cooperation began. The prince, with his unshakable faith in unity and forgiveness, showed that true power lay not in weapons, but in the ability to build bridges between hearts. This parable reminds us that, just as the prince was the bridge between two kingdoms, Jesus is the bridge between God and man, bringing reconciliation and everlasting love.